want to talk about the Blackcoat's daughter. That's what it's called, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
The Blackcoat's daughter. And I saw on the internet it was like originally called February, which I guess I
Oh,
saw where that was coming in. I don't know. The Blackcoat's daughter is just that song that they were playing at the end, right? I don't really know what that means though, in terms of the movie.
I kind of got the impression it was meant to be like daughter of, not just immediately spoil the whole movie, but daughter of the devil, I think was the impression that I got.
Hmm, that would make sense.
Yeah, I didn't know if it
Uh,
was supposed to be a demon or the devil, but I kind of like the portrayal of whatever that evil presence is supposed to be, like those like long horn things. I didn't know what that was supposed to represent.
Yeah, I almost thought like it looked like a bunny when I first saw it. It was a cool
Yeah,
looking, like they had like a kind of demon devilish shadowy thing
like
throughout.
yeah.
more horn like Donnie Darko bunny kind of feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, how did the movie even start? I don't even remember now.
Um,
I think it's her parent. She's walking away from a car. I thought the car was like totally
it's like
destroyed or
totaled.
like on fire or something like that. So I think now in retrospect, I think the implication is that she killed her parents.
Hmm.
Because at the time, I think someone's standing behind her that looks like they're in a trench coat, but I guess that would have been the devil.
Yeah.
Did you? I was gonna say, did you guys figure out that the uh was it Emma Roberts character who she was?
Yeah,
Like
it's supposed to be like her older self, like after
Yeah.
all of that. Yeah.
yeah, they made that clear, didn't they? Or no?
Yeah, not right away though.
Yeah, not until like halfway through the movie. So it follows really it kind of follows two girls, but it starts out kind of following three. Is that
Hmm.
how we're seeing it? And two of them
Yeah.
seem to be at the same sort of time and place, and they're at like this like girls' school, like private girls' school, and then the other one is like Emma Roberts, and you don't really understand how they're intertwined at first because she's just like somewhere else.
Yeah, I think the only thing they tell you is that she's like trying to head to the same school, and then you catch on that like she's getting a ride from the parents, but I think it was kind of meant to be implied that they were the parents of her younger self. Like they didn't. It seemed like they were trying to trick you into thinking that like they were in the same timeline.
Yeah, at first they were definitely. I thought they were the same timeline. Yeah, I don't even remember like what I thought of the beginning. Although I do really like so there's the main girl who's kind of weird and then there's like other
Mhm.
girl who's like edgy. Do you guys remember their names?
No, I literally have the Wikipedia open because I was like I couldn't remember either of their names.
Oh, I just found
The
my
Uh,
younger
notes.
self is supposed to be Kat or Catherine, I think. The girl that she killed, I think, is Rose, maybe. And then the name that she assumes, I think she steals an ID from someone else later when she's older, as Emma Roberts is Joan.
yeah,
Right, okay. Yeah, I thought Catherine was really creepy. Like she did such a good job of being creepy. Like I thought the
yeah.
actress was so cool looking, like 'cause she was just freaky enough. She reminded me of another actress, but I don't remember her name now, but yeah, she was
I think
freaking
the
me out.
girl who plays Sabrina, right? I never
Hmm.
watched it, but I was pretty sure that's what she was from.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Overall, I thought the acting was good. I didn't like this one either.
Yeah.
I think I'm giving this director one more shot to like. I also don't know if it was just because I watched a movie last night that I really liked, and I don't know because I kind of like started the movie like earlier this week, and then since we rescheduled, I've ended up finishing it earlier today. So I don't know if it's also because of like in my head I was making some comparison without even thinking of it, but um, I think that this director really likes using a lot of loud sound and music to
Hmm.
kind of carry the feeling in the ambient, like the eeriness, because he really wants to put you in like make you uneasy while you're watching these movies. I think because I get the same feeling with Long Legs. It was like there was just the it was just all that grating sound and like the string instruments and like ooh something's like not feeling really right. But it was just I think there's too much of it,
Yeah.
and and if you take that away, there's really not much going on. And I think the actresses did a great job, but I just overall, if you kind of put all together for me, I'm just kind of like there's not too much meat here.
Also, it being uh, only the second movie by Osgood Perkins that I've seen, and it's the second one that like the whole thing is explained by like the devil made me do it kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And
like
literally,
was
the one
he like
as
that?
soon as I realized that was happening, I was like, is this just like his whole bit? Are all of his movies this? I was like, spoilers, it's the devil every time.
Yeah,
I
I
like I
did.
think let's literally like have my notes halfway through is like, really? Is this happening a second time?
Again. I
Again?
did. I did laugh though when Kat's character when Kat was like sick and she like threw up on the dining room table with all of them there, and then they had her like sitting on like that nurse's station, and one of them was like trying to give her medication, one of the older women, and then she was just like, "Get your hands off of me, cunt!" And I thought
Yeah.
that was so funny.
All of their faces, they're like, oh,
Yeah.
Oh my god.
the worst thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. I thought it was really too long as well. Like I feel like if it was shorter, I would have enjoyed it more. I think The Devil Made Me Do It makes way more sense in this context though, because it seemed
Yes.
like there was a priest, there were nuns, I think it was like a Catholic school. And so that didn't feel out of left field. It felt like I saw that coming. Um and
That's
it didn't feel as weird as Long Legs.
I also kind of felt so I was reading people's reviews afterwards because I was kind of curious. I was like, I felt like I kind of missed something. Like I thought it was okay, but I really felt like I was missing some like plot points or something. And so I went back and was reading reviews, and someone kind of explained the ending in a way that made more sense to me, which is that she was trying to bring back the devil by killing her old classmates' parents. So she was like trying to use them as a sacrifice. It wasn't that the devil made her do it the second time, it's that she was like she wanted him back. And one, I had somehow totally missed that. I don't think it was that unclear, but I do think that like the editing could have been done differently to make that a little bit more her motivation a little clearer. Because honestly, I thought that was like the most, when I read that, I thought that was the most compelling part of the movie. I thought that was like a really interesting idea of like, I've been possessed in the past and I miss him and I want that back. Uh, and instead it was like a little twist at the end, but I just like missed it. I didn't even catch it.
Yeah. Well, cuz it kind of got boring by then. So I actually like
Yeah.
she started stabbing people, or right before she started stabbing people, I think it was just going so slow that I was like, I also
Yeah.
just kind of get anxious, so I just looked up what was going to happen on the like Wikipedia, and I read that part, and I was like, I don't think I would have caught it either, but since I read it right before it happened, there's a
Hmm.
part where she's like, after she stabbed a bunch of people, she sees the demon and she gets like exorcised by the priest, and the demon leaves, and she says like, don't go.
Yeah.
And then they go back to the future where she's like killing people again, and then it's like, oh, okay, so that kind of I could see, like put it together, but yeah, I don't think I would have otherwise.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just really
Yeah. I
slow
just
at the
assumed she
end.
had found a way to get him back prior to that, which is why she was killing. But
True, yeah.
yeah, I don't know if. I mean, I think it was edited the way it was to kind of make it mysterious and to be like, oh, surprise, she's just killing people. But I think a character who is actively trying to seek out the devil, like through murders of people connected to her past, is like a pretty interesting premise. And I think like kind of expressing it up front actually might have been more interesting to me.
I mean, if I end up watching a third movie by this same director, I don't know. I have to have I can't have watched anything that I liked prior to. I have to completely wipe the slate clean. I can't have any expectations because and I can't even think about these two movies because I feel like if I do, I'm already like in my head, oh, this movie's going to be bad. So, but I
Yeah.
think that's probably going to be it. Like if a third one, if we watch a third one and it's by this director and it's like still not it's like I there it's almost like it's like on the fence of being something
Hmm.
that I would like, just not quite there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the delivery is just like a bit flat, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, it just feels like a cop out. I mean, we talked about this with long legs. Like the devil made me do it just feels like a cop out to me. Which again is why I think that a character like seeking out the devil is a lot more interesting because like it's like okay that sets you up for that narrative, but like with long legs, it's just like all right, then what does it fucking matter? Like
Yeah.
something evil's killing people.
And with long legs too, I remember there being so many more like loose ends that we were just like, what the hell was this for? Like there was like this random scene where like, okay, that was never explained. We got to the end of it. The devil made him do it. Okay, cool. But what about X, Y, and Z that happened and all these other scenes? We just completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting too that that's like I think this came out well before Long Legs, so I think it's interesting how it seems like this is more I don't know, it seems like a lot of people really do like long legs outside of us, but I felt like this was maybe a tiny bit just it's slightly better than long legs in that sense that
Hmm.
I feel like there's not as many loose ends, but it could be one and the same for me, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like less disappointing than long legs, but it's also like I just felt like not much happened. Like I feel like you again, if it was shorter, I would have been less bored and I kind of liked it as just like I think for me the vibes were kind of cool. Like it was spooky vibes. I liked the like scary possessed girl at a Catholic school. I just think she was making me uncomfortable and I thought that was fun. But
Yeah.
just nothing happened. Like you could write the plot out and it's like, yeah, nothing really happened.
Well,
Mm.
because they even show like they switch perspectives, but then they just show you the same thing happening. But it's like we were third person anyways. Why are you? What does it matter?
Maybe it's the market. It was the marketing, like the ability now that with long legs there was way more increased marketing ploys because that's what drew me into long legs. And with this,
Hmm.
I've never
Mm,
heard of the Blackcoat's daughter, so like
Yeah.
mm.
it could be that too, where I felt like I had such high expectations because the marketing was so good. Like those trailers just were they got me. And I think that was a really big part of why I felt so disappointed when I actually watched the movie.
True.
Um, I was gonna say speaking of trailers, have you guys seen the new Nicolas Cage movie trailer, The
Mm-mm,
Surfer?
No.
mm-mm.
We it came on when I went to go see Mickey 17 with friends, and I literally leaned over to my friend, and the only thing I could think of was like, who's letting Nicolas Cage star in more horror movies? After The Wicker Man and after Long Legs, I feel like they need to get this man out of there. He's done so well in like what is it the immense weight of talent or whatever that one was. Like people really liked that one. He's done good for the voice acting in the Spider-Man movies. But God, someone needs to get this man out of horror. I don't know why he keeps doing it. It just looks bad.
Yeah.
I I feel like you could replace the scary music with like comedy music and it would just be like, oh, it's a funny one.
Entirely different genre, yeah.
It's like it's nothing about it is giving horror except for the music.
No, the trailer kind of gives like almost like a bad action movie. Like it
Yeah.
feels like he's just gonna get into a fist fight with a bunch of locals. I just get the impression Nicolas Cage wants to be a horror actor, but I don't I don't think he's cut out for it.
Yeah. Or maybe it's just like I feel like Nicolas Cage is the kind of guy who just takes whatever parts are offered and like the only people who have them are like weirder movie makers which typically tend to be horror. You know what I mean?
He's such a weird choice.
I was surprised when he became a playable character in Dead by Daylight. Like that was kind of like random too.
Yeah, that feels like again kind of like taking whatever. Like they're I just feel like if you pitched anything to Nicolas Cage, he'd be like, "I'm in."
Isn't the Dead by Daylight one? Doesn't like he and his son play DVD together? Isn't that the whole thing?
Yeah, I think his son really likes it, and then I guess he got into talks with the devs, and they were like, yeah, let's put you in there, and he was like, sick, and his son's like, cool, and so to everyone else, it's like, wow, you could be Nicolas Cage, so random.
He's living his best life, but I don't know that he's really improving. movies overall.
For our next movie, do you guys want to watch Honora? I guess that movie won Best Picture at this year's Oscars, and I've seen some trailers of it. All I know is that I think it's a stripper who gets into a relationship with potential criminal. It's yeah, that's what the trailer kind of gives me the impression of, and that's about it. That's all I know.
Oh, I think I've seen that. Yeah, I think I know what trailer you're talking about. Um, sure. Oh, yeah, I'm down for something not horror this time around.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry. I was nodding my head, but I was also zoning out.
I
Yeah, I'd be down to watch it.
was gonna say the only other note, I honestly my notes from the Blackcoat's daughter are not really anything. I have like a lot of questions about the movie as it was happening, but most of them are not particularly interesting. The only thing I had is, have you guys ever? I don't think anyone wants to go to boarding school, but that's
Hmm.
what it felt like to me. I couldn't really get a bead on like what their school was.
Yeah, it
Uh,
must have been because the parents like were visiting as if they weren't
mhm.
always there.
hmm
The houses kind of felt like a college at one point, but I think they were meant to be more like teenagers.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be high school. I don't know why, it just felt like that.
Yeah.
I mean, on the IMDb page, it says during winter break, two students stay in an all girls boarding school. So
Oh, okay.
And
yeah,
and that's what is a boarding school? That's usually high school or like
I
more?
think so.
I think so.
I wonder if they even have boarding schools. Do they even have those in America?
Yeah.
Probably. I bet you they're stupid expensive though.
I wonder who goes to those.
Rich people,
That'd be
mostly.
that'd be so wild to just send your kids away as a rich person. Be like, yes, go off to school. I don't want to see you anymore.
Yeah, I would say the note that I had taken was like, would you ever go to boarding school? And I was like, I feel like that's an easy no for me. I don't think I would ever want to do that.
I always thought the what was that one show on Nick? The was it Zoe 101? That they were in a like a school. Was that? Yeah, I think it was
A
Zoe
boarding
101.
school?
Well, yeah, like whatever it was like they were like at high school, but they were like living in dorms or something. And I was like, that looks so fucking
Oh.
cool. But I think I would be too chicken to like leave my family actually. But
So that
it
is a
sounds
boarding
cool.
school.
That one seemed cool.
That does
I
seem more
never
fun.
watched that show.
It basically just seems like college, but for high schoolers, which I don't think that's what the schools would be like, but in the show it was.
That just like sounds like a bad invention.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that just be kind of miserable. I don't know. I feel like I think public school is good for kids. I think you need to be exposed to just like fucking weirdos. I think it's good for kids.
You don't think the weirdos are at the boarding schools?
No, dude, they're totally well, I think it's different kinds because my brother went to not boarding school but private school all the way up until he left for college, and I was in private school for like the first 3 years, like one like first through 3rd grade. I was in private school and then I switched to public school. And I am so thankful that I went to public school because it's just I my perception of just people in general is so different from my brother. And I just sometimes he'll say things and I'll be like, that's not how it works.
Like
And
what?
it's like it comes down to money a lot.
Oh.
He'll be like, well, why can't they just buy this? And I'll be like, that's not how it works, man. Like, I mean, people sometimes don't have the money. You can't just say that to everyone. Everyone's situation is different. And it's like me going to public school. I definitely could have seen that, and I have seen that, and it's just like our perspectives are so different when it comes down to it. And like, I'm not saying like my brother's like ignorant to all of that because I'll definitely check him, and it could definitely come from what I studied in college too. But I have I have a very good hunch that it comes from the people that I was exposed to going through public school as opposed to the people that he was exposed to going to private school, because he was just exposed to a lot of rich kids from maybe a lot of the same neighborhoods, and they
Mm.
had perceptions of the people that went to the schools that I went to, and it was like the kids that he was surrounded by would call the kids that I was surrounded by gas pumpers because we went to public school.
God.
And it
Mhm.
was like, yeah, they had shit like that, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. Also, rich weirdos are just like they're freaks. I
I
think
feel like
that
they're
like
extra
normal
crazy.
yeah, like normal weirdos, that's fine. Like I'm friends with lots of people who are just like, that's just how they are. That's how they live their lives. That's okay. Like as long as they're not harming anybody, I'm okay with it. But like rich weirdos, they get fucked up after a while, I feel like. I was I was having a conversation with actually like pretty much this exact conversation with my advisor a couple of days ago because he was telling me about just like a friend of his from college. So just kind of a weird guy who's just like living at his dad's basement now, and he's like 37 or something like that. But same deal where like he went to college and this guy was rich, and so like he got kicked out of college, and his dad like flew into this tiny private airport to go talk to the faculty to be like, please readmit my son.
Wow.
Uh, so he got readmitted and then kicked out again, and then just dropped out of school and just like for the next 15 years it just lived out of his dad's basement, which like in the economy I get it if you can't afford it, but it sounds like this dude just like gets an allowance and does whatever he wants,
Wow.
as compared to just like people that I know from high school. They're doing some weird shit and I don't really understand them, but like they're fine, they're doing their own thing, they're happy, I think. But we were joking that those guys, like every time I feel like anytime you encounter them and they're in a relationship, their their partners are like the coolest people you'll ever meet. It's like this amazing woman with just like the weirdest fucking dude you've ever seen in your life. And we were joking because he's like, yeah, he's like my friend's wife literally has to like convince him to come out of the house and like go for walks every now and again. And I was like, the way he was describing it, I was like, you're talking about this guy as if he's like a zoo animal and she's taking him out for like enrichment, for like socialization. And he's like, yeah, that's what it is.
He's like, exactly.
Yeah. Uh,
Come on, honey, it's enrichment time.
yeah, it's like putting a pumpkin in a tiger's enclosure.
Yeah.
It's like exactly. But then he was describing it further, and I was like, "Yeah, actually, know what you know. Now that you mention it, I do actually know several people that are exactly like that."
So I sent Hannah this reel of actually no, I sent it both of you, maybe. The reel of the basement yard boys talking about um how their parents keep teeth, baby teeth of theirs. Did I send it both of
Hmm.
you?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, Hannah, I think you said that your parents might have done that.
Oh yeah, I know my
Yeah.
parents did. My dad's like a super sentimental person. I found, I think it was a box. I think they kept ours in a box. But I have three siblings, and my two older siblings are like 5 and 7 years older than me, so they had lost all of their teeth by the time I started losing mine. Uh, So yeah, I found the box probably, I don't know, my teens somewhere, and I stumbled across it. So 4 kids worth of baby teeth is a lot. uh, so it's real weird. They get really gross. Like they
Really?
dry out. Ugh, ugh. I don't think I threw them out. I was tempted to, but my dad's the kind of person who wants to keep stuff forever, so I don't think that I did.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think my parents have done that because my mom always throws shit out. But I found out when I was getting my wisdom teeth taken out, my dad was like, "Yeah, I still have mine." And he just kept
Oh.
his, and he's like 60 something now. And he got him out when he was like 20 or something. So he's just kept his teeth for 40 years. So then once I got mine out, I'm like, maybe I'll keep them. So I'm hoarding my wisdom teeth.
There you go.
Oh, they didn't even ask if I wanted to keep mine. Damn it. I wish I'd known. Did your parents do like tooth fairy stuff?
Yeah, mine did.
Yeah.
My
Mine,
mom did it so formally though. Like I knew it was her.
what do
How
you
did
mean
that work?
formally?
she put the money in a fucking envelope and said from the Tooth Fairy, and I was like, that's my mom's handwriting. What the fuck is this? I knew that shit. I was like, why are you doing this, mom? I know it's you. Just say it. Just give me money. I don't know. So formal. I was like, if the Tooth Fairy is real, they would not put in an envelope like this and write like you, mom. She's like, what do you mean? It's the Tooth Fairy. I was like,
Snitching on
no.
herself.
Yeah.
But it was under your
My
pillow still?
Yeah, dude. She put the
Nice.
envelope underneath that pillow.
nice.
Nice.
The house I grew up in as a kid was like a really old farmhouse, and it was super, all the floor was super squeaky, like the stairs were squeaky. And I lived on, or my room was on the second floor, so to get to our bedroom, they'd have to go up the stairs. And my dad is a big guy. He's like 6'3", and
Hmm.
he's worked in landscaping his whole life, so he's like super jacked. He's always been like over 200 pounds, and he's mostly muscle. Uh, so he is not quiet. And I am a very light sleeper, so I would wake up pretty much without fail every time. Like I went through the whole routine, but like I knew that it was my parents from pretty young. Uh, but then at some point, my dad just kind of got lazy and didn't want to do it anymore, so my mom took over.
Hmm.
But my mom also didn't care. She like was not invested in the whole bit. She didn't care if I believed in it or not. But then I got to middle school, or maybe it was still in elementary school, but either way, I was waking up pretty early for school to get ready. And so, like, if my parents forgot to do it overnight, my mom would come up first thing in the morning, and I'd be like getting changed, getting ready for school. She'd like knock on the door to check that I was awake and like lean in and then like shush me and then and take my tooth and put something under my pillow while I'm just like standing there watching her. Uh, and so she did that a couple times in a row. And then finally, I think it was like my last baby tooth. She did the same thing, but rather than money, she just like started bringing random shit into my room. She like brought in like a handful of pencils. She brought like a roll of toilet paper. I think it was like a pack of hot dogs. Like she just kept coming back to my room the same morning and just like shoving more shit under my pillow. And I'm again still trying to like get dressed for school and be productive. And she's just like creating this like mountain on my bed of just random shit. I don't think I got money. I think she literally just like left a bunch of garbage in my room. But she'd come in every time. She'd go shh, and then like tiptoe in and then slide under my pillow. Uh, so I guess that was my celebration for my final baby tooth. But
Hot
it was
dogs.
weird. Hot dogs. Yep.
Yeah, the pack of hot dogs.
And then I mean, then she just started having fun with it because my little brother was still young enough that he still believed in the tooth fairy, and she would. He was a much heavier sleeper than I was. Uh, so she started giving him weird shit, but he was like really confused. He's like, why is the tooth fairy giving me these things? She managed to get a whole ass pumpkin under his pillow while he was sleeping,
What?
like the size of like a grapefruit, like one of the little baby pumpkins, but still
Wow.
fucking not small. Uh, and I had to fucking keep a straight face the next morning when he came down. Like, why do I have a pumpkin in my room? uh, yeah, she had fun with it.
That's funny. I wish it was like one of the big pumpkins. Your brother's neck's just fucking broken because of how the pumpkin has to be underneath the pillow. Well, it probably can't even be fully underneath the pillow because it'll be
Mm,
like so big.
yeah. I mean, honestly, if she was bored enough or you gave her enough time, she probably would have done it.
Do you guys sleepwalk or know anyone who sleepwalks?
No, I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Maybe I think when I was a kid I did, but I don't now, and I don't know anyone who does.
I used to have a friend who told me that she sleptwalked like the first couple times that she slept over at my house, and I had no idea.
Wow.
So I was like really scared, like after that, because she told me that it only happens in unfamiliar places for the first couple times that she sleeps over at someplace, and I
Hmm.
The
was just
worst
like, how
time to
does it?
sleepwalk.
And yeah, so I was like, so how do you? I don't know, like, so I don't know how does that work? And she's like, I don't know, I just know that I do that the first few times I sleep somewhere new, and I was like, okay. And we're telling Tony that, and he was in like when we slept over at her house a few times, Me, Tony, and a few other friends. And like, I remember when she told me that, I was like, I, even though she said that it only happens in unfamiliar places, I would like, I would like try to stay awake to see what that was like because I've never been around someone who sleptwalked, and then I find out that I don't know, like I've been around them when they've done it, and I asked her too. I was like, "When you were at my home, like, where did you go?" And she was like, "I don't know. I just like woke up and I found out I was in your kitchen." I was like, "That's crazy." I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I've never understood that.
Yeah.
I feel like it happened with my brother once where it's like he like came downstairs and like was trying to talk to us, but it didn't make sense. You know how people when they talk in their sleep and it doesn't make sense. And you're just
Yeah.
like, okay, go back to bed. And like that was it.
I always like those. There's that one lady who records herself. She's got like a night cam or something in her room, and she sleepwalks all the time, and so she records it and like posts it on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. I don't know. I assume it's not faked, but I don't really know. But they're just always so goofy. Like she's just running around being like a little gremlin. And she's also the best part about it to me is that I think she's married.
Hmm.
She's definitely in a relationship and like you always can see her partner in the bed just like awake and just watching her like scurry around the room doing random shit and he just always looks so exhausted.
If it's real, could you imagine the first time he ever saw that? I would be scared. Like I'd be like, "Oh my god!" Or well, hopefully that she informed him maybe before it happened.
I have no idea. I assume so.
That would suck if he didn't get a heads up before that and he saw her doing that. I'd be scared.
That'd be crazy. Imagine like spending the first night together and being like, "Oh, this is gonna be great," and then you fucking wake up to them like running around with like stealing shit. And
That'd be
uh,
scary.
I don't. I feel like I wouldn't. I don't know. I don't know how I could be if you could be in a relationship with someone who did that. Like, you'd have to have separate bedrooms. I feel like I don't think I could sleep next to somebody who did that because she was just like having full blown conversations out loud. Like that would wake me up. I
Oh
can't.
Yeah.
yeah, I would sleep then. Yeah,
I can't do that.
I'd be like, "Girl."
Girl.
Yeah. Again.
We were like, one of us has to leave this room because I'm not gonna be able to go to sleep.
Like I don't think it's humane, but maybe just like lock them in a room. They'll be fine.
Do you guys ever talk in your sleep?
I don't think so. I Ben has always told me I'm a very quiet sleeper. He says I even like breathe quiet. He says I don't make like any noise when I sleep, which sounds creepy to be honest, but I don't know. But he does talk in his sleep sometimes.
I haven't been told that I talk in my sleep. I can tell you Tony talks in his sleep. So
What's he saying?
one of the most notable times is he was having a dream and he said he said a girl's name and he goes ha 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 Shaniqua, and I was like, what the fuck, who's Shaniqua? And I didn't know, like, and I also, so like I had like a lot of emotions. It was like, what, do I be mad, do I be scared, or do I laugh because it all sounds funny? So then like I woke him up and he didn't know what the hell was going on, but then later on he told me, he was like, yeah, I had a really vivid dream that I was playing dodgeball with a bunch of women, and one of them was named Shaniqua, but we were playing dodgeball with like quarters somehow, and I like just I just she just got destroyed with a quarter. This girl named Shaniqua, and so that's what I guess must have been said out loud, and I was like, okay. And
Okay.
I always like reference that when like people will be I don't know, there've been conversations where you're like, yeah, so and so snores, so and so what does whatever in their sleep, and I'd be like, yeah, Tony talks in his sleep. This is what happened one time. Just giggled and was like, Shaniqua, and was like, who the fuck Shaniqua?
It makes sense that he was laughing at somebody getting hit though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that checks out.
That's very on brand.
yeah. And the
Yeah.
camera thing, that reminds me of something else that I was planning to tell you guys about before. um we had some maintenance um come
Oh
in
yeah.
and do some repairs. So we set up we have this camera that we set up typically when we go away on weekends or for vacation, and it can sense like it connects to our phones to like a phone app where it will go off if it senses motion or activity or anything like that. But there were a few times that maintenance came through where we weren't going to be able to be here, so we just set it up because just for, I don't know, more peace of mind. Sometimes I'll check in on the camera just to see what's up. And um so Tony was setting up the camera while I was at the office the day before we knew we weren't going to be here, and that the maintenance crew was going to come in and make some repairs. And so I was at the office and he texted me and he goes, "Okay, I set the camera up." And I'm like, I check it and we can see the feed and everything live from our apps. So I check it and I'm like, "Oh, looks good. Play, good spot." And then he, being Tony, he decides to go and twerk in front of the camera and text me and be like, "How's it look now? I moved now." He's just fucking shaking his ass in front of the camera. And the office was quiet that day. It was just me and my boss, and I was just like, and I was like trying to not laugh out loud, but I'm just seeing the live feed of him just shaking his ass. And I'm just like, "It's great, Tony."
It looks great.
It looks great. And then he's just like, "Could you see me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, I can see you."
Yeah.
Oh, also, I realized that there was something else I meant to tell you guys, like probably 2 episodes ago that I never brought up either. But now I'm thinking about like being at the workplace. So we had to implement this new thing at our office where we just lock the outside doors because another time when it was just me and my boss in the office, we were talking. No one else was expected that day. It was like the middle of the day. And out in the hallway, we hear a cough. We're the only tenants in the building. We're supposed to be the only two in that day. We were like, that seems suspicious. So he goes out to check, and it was still snowing at this point. So he
Mm.
sees fresh snow come, like footsteps coming in, and then he sees the door, like one of the outside doors, just closing, and he's like, "Oh God!" So he like locks it, and he comes back in. He's just like, "So I don't know who that was." And so the property manager doesn't live in the area, so he emails the property manager and is like, "Hey, can you, because there are like some external cameras outside of our office that like are in the building but outside of our office." And so he's like, "Can you check on the cameras and see, what you can find?" And the the property manager only fucking looks and sees like the time where my boss goes out into the hallway to check. So he's like, "Yeah, I saw you at this time." And he's like, "No, man, 5 minutes, just rewind 5 minutes before, go and look again." And they were like, "Yeah, we see this random person," and they have like it's just a random looking guy, just average person, has like a Walmart bag with him. And so then my boss was like, "Okay, do you recognize him? Was he supposed to be there?" Because they're like kind of doing renovations here and there, but when they do and they have people come in, they let us know. So they're just like, "Okay, yeah, these people are supposed to be in the building."
Mhm.
And he was just like, "Nope, never seen him before." And so my boss is like, "Oh my God." So, and a lot of people that do work in that office are from smaller towns, and so they already don't really like the area because it's a lot busier than where they're from.
Yeah.
And it's loud as shit because like a large portion of our walls are just window, so it's you just hear a lot of conversations, and there's a lot of people that are there's definitely drug deals that happen right outside, but it's just a busy downtown area. So you just get a lot of exposure to different kinds of people. So, so we lock the doors and he's just like, "Okay, I'm going to go look at all the other floors just to double check." And I'm like, "Okay." And he leaves and I was just like, I should have gone with him.
Yeah.
Like, this is what happens in a horror movie. Like, you should not split up. And so I was like getting kind of nervous because he didn't come back for a while, and he comes back and he locks the door behind him. And I'm like, "Okay, so now I know if you ever do that again, we should not split up. Like, this is, have you ever seen a horror movie? Because that's like the worst thing you can do. We have to go together."
This isn't Scooby Doo.
And yeah, exactly.
Split up gang.
And so like after that point, everyone was like so confused because they're just like, "Why do we have to lock all the doors now? I don't get it." And then I like had to tell people, well, because there was a random strange man who came in, and then we heard him cough, and we're just like, who is this person? He's not supposed to be here. No one knows who he is. It's not recognized by anyone. And do you want random strange people to be in the building while you're here? Because it's also like the office is not full of people. We like have a hybrid schedule, so it's like at most there's like 2 or 3 people. But also, it doesn't matter how many people are in the office if there's someone comes in with bad intentions. So it's like
Hmm.
someone can come in and be crazy and have a weapon, and it could be three unarmed people who just work in an like look at a
Yeah.
computer all day long. What are we supposed to do? You know what I mean? So I'm like, just lock the damn doors. But yeah, that's what I was gonna tell you guys before.
Yeah, definitely the start to a horror movie. White guy going off on his own to scope out some mysterious sounds.
Yep.
Just the first to go.
If he never came back, I would just had to have called the cops because I'm not going up there by myself either. Like the hell? I'd lock myself in that office, call the cops, wait till they showed up, and then I'd be like, okay, you went this way. There's only one way. 3 floors up. We're on the bottom floor.
Yeah, he's brave, dude. What the heck?
Oh, there's also a basement too, and he was telling me that he went down to check in the basement, and there is he was telling me that there are 3 doors, and I was like, bro, why did you go down to the basement? And he was like, because there was a door that would always, and this was actually, now that I think about it, our office is kind of creepy. Just now
That's
that
too
I'm,
many doors.
now that I'm really thinking about it, it's really, really creepy. But I would notice that sometimes when I'd come in, there'd be a door, and I never really looked at it, but I would just close it, just assuming that maybe there was like the property manager was here and making repairs or something. So I would just close it. And I would tell my boss, and he'd be like, "Yeah, no, the property manager hasn't been here in months." And we're like, "Oh, well, that
Yeah.
door has been open."
That's the
So
ghost
yeah,
door.
yeah, it's the ghost door. But yeah, he told me he went down there that day too to check, and there were 3 doors down there, and it reminded me of. Have you guys seen the second It remake movie?
Yeah.
No, I only saw the first one.
So in that movie, there's like a scene where there are 3 doors, and they have different labels, and one of them is says not scary, the next one says scary, and then the last one says very scary. And I was telling him, like, I was like, you were in that movie, dude, except you're a grown man, and those were like 12-year-olds. And he was like, it was still scary. And I was like, it's your fault you went down there by yourself and you were like at the it doors. Don't do that again.
The Edwards.
Did he like investigate them at all? Did he open any of them?
Nope. He said he did not open it. It was too scary. And if he did open it, I would be like, you let something out now. We have to
Yeah.
vacate the premises. We cannot work in this building anymore.
I mean, he shouldn't have gone down in the first place, but the fact of the matter is that now he lives with the knowledge that there's three mysterious doors down there.
Exactly. Exactly. Which leads me into my next point. You guys should watch Heretic. Um, I did not have any expectations for it.
Oh, that's the Hugh Grant? Is that
Yes.
his name? I don't know why I just
Yeah.
forgot his name. Oh, is that good?
Yes. I watched it last night before I finished up The Blackcoat's Daughter today. And that was the movie that I was like, oh, wow, I really liked it. And then I was like, I don't know if now the contrast between that and this movie is making me hate The Blackcoat's Daughter even more. But yeah, I was actually surprised by it. It was a lot better than I thought, but it also went into it with like absolutely no expectations. I
Yeah.
think I saw a trailer once, but I was like, I don't know. I didn't know. I didn't hear if it was good or not. So I just Tony and I watched it last night, and I was like surprised.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I remember seeing the trailers and thinking it kind of looked a little generic, but that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think my brother was saying he really wanted to watch it. I think on Christmas or something. It was a while ago, but um,
yeah.
yeah, I'd be down to write that down.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as much as I made fun of Nick Cage, I do really like it when when actors like totally shift genres. Because Hugh
Mhm.
Grant is just like solidly rom-com drama
Mhm.
and like nothing, maybe a comedy at best.
Mhm.
That's it. So I do really like when people uh switch genres because I feel like you're set up for certain expectations and like very easy to surprise me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like what I know him for is Love Actually. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
when I saw him and it surprised me, I think it was because I was just like, how is he in this horror movie? Like, what's he gonna do?
Yeah. Well, but like that's the best. I remember hearing someone say before that horror, what is it? Horror is like comedy but without the punchline or something like that. So I do really like that flip-flop because like if I see Hugh Grant in a horror movie, I'm immediately going to assume that like he's charismatic, but like that's suspicious. Uh he's going to be he's going to be too good. So, I'm definitely curious. I just thought it looks like such a generic trailer though that I never watched it.
I immediately thought I believe him as a creepy dude. I
He
don't
is a
know,
little creepy.
just because I don't know. Now that he's gotten older, and I think I've heard that he's kind of a jackass or something, or maybe he
Yeah.
sometimes mouths off in interviews like a cocky. So I was like, I believe him to be like a scary old man in a house.
Very old man in the
Isn't that what he
house.
is? Like, isn't he like luring these girls into this house? That's what the trailer made me think of.
Yeah, he's a scary old man in the house.
The woman in the yard, the scary man in the
Yeah, the one in
house.
Oh my
the
god, yeah.
yeah.
I don't Is that just like the current naming trend? Is just like person in a place? Because isn't it
Just-
like woman in a window and the lady next door and like all of those come out in the last couple of years?
Yeah.
I just kept.
Yeah,
What a
I
dumb
feel like
trend.
there's one like the thing I saw across the street or something like that.
Yeah.
That's funny. I like the woman in the yard because I keep making jokes to Tino that it's like that's just mom, like like your siblings like there's a woman in the yard. Yeah, mom's gardening. Like
Calm down. She'll be back.
It's kind of like object permanence, like a baby playing peekaboo with a baby.
yeah.
Oh god. Yeah, I was literally just trying to find like a list of horror movies that have kind of come out in the last couple of years because I was like, oh, I'll see if I can find like, a couple of examples. I just typed in The Thing and the first result I got was from 2015. It looks like a short film, but it's literally just called The Thing in the Apartment. And then it's like you would also be interested in There's Something in the Attic. Thing in the Dark. The three men you meet at night.
That's crazy. Yeah, was there any other movies that were coming out? Oh, we still have. Uh, what was that one with the? I probably have it written down. There's something that comes out in March. Probably came out already, right?
Uh, Opus was the other one that we had
Yeah.
talked about. Melody, you didn't end up getting to see Mickey 17, did you?
No, sadly not. I
Uh,
thought Tony was going to be interested in it, but then when I brought it up and I was like, let's go see Mickey 17, he was like, nah. And I haven't had the chance to go out and go see it. So,
ugh, it's a
yeah.
bum.
I was totally thinking he was interested, and he was like, it seems weird. I was like, do you not know who I am?
Seems
Yeah.
weird.
I was like, I only show you weird movies. You should expect this by now. My goodness.
Yeah, maybe I'll
Um,
see Opus sometime. Just 'cause, just for funsies. I think we don't have to talk about it if we've got a bunch of stuff, but
yeah. Yeah, I'm still pretty excited for that one. I think it'll just be a good. It looks like it'll just be a fun movie. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for you to see Mickey 17, Melody. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah. Did you guys both saw it, right?
hmm
I think so.
yeah, we were just talking. Tino and I were just seeing that he always. Do you guys do this because you like movies? He is always reading like the budgets and then how much like the movies made. He also is
Oh,
like
interesting.
he's obsessed with like he'll always like if anytime like somebody fails, even if it's just like a random business, like we'll walk past businesses in the mall that are like empty and nobody's in there, but like the salesperson's standing there and he'll just be like, I feel bad. And so I think he like looks up the movies he likes to see if they made a profit because then he's like, oh, I feel good that they like made money. But they were
Oh.
saying like Mickey 17 what didn't make a ton of money, like it didn't split even so far. And so we were
Mm.
kind of bummed. But it wasn't bad. Like it still made money.
No, I can't say that I've ever looked up like the profit or anything like that. That's funny that he does that though. I do
Yeah.
always really like looking up. Um, I love looking up like interviews and stuff after watching a movie though. I like. So Ben and I just finished. Literally last night, we finished watching Gravity Falls. 'Cause he had never seen it before,
Mm.
and I really loved the series when it was coming out. And there's just like so many things that I realized I knew about that show from watching interviews and reading stuff when it was coming out. So then every time like we get to a part and I like have to pause it and be like, okay, so this is because of this thing that happened here. And we got to the end of it and he's like, there's so many things that you like talked about that never came up. And I was like, yeah, they were just like in interviews and books and they talk about them after the show finished. He's like, so were they so they're like they weren't that important. I was like, but they're kind of important.
You're like, actually, yes, it's very important. How would you say
It's
that?
it's very important. Excuse you. Uh, yeah, because there's like this one tidbit that like the creator had talked about. There's a pig in the show, and he does this interview where he's like the pig is actually like really important to the timeline, but it's not really that important. It's just kind of like this indicator as far as timelines are concerned. And so I talked about it early on. We were still in like season one, and Ben was like, "Yeah, I've been waiting like throughout the whole show for like something to come up about the pig. You like hyped it up so much, and then nothing happened."
Dang.
I was like, "Damn it, sorry." I love fun facts about things that I like.
Yeah. No, I think that's just natural though.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of something similar that has like a lot of content outside of the thing because I feel like I've seen that before, but I can't think of one that I'm like familiar with. But that's like always makes it fun, I think.
Yeah, I mean, one of the main thing that came up was at the end of it, he was like, "Yeah, I feel like it should have been like the pacing was kind of weird in the second season." And I was like, "That's fair." I was like, "But the biggest thing that I knew about the show, I was like that I remember there were a lot of issues because I think it's technically a Disney show. It
Hmm.
wasn't. I don't think it was Cartoon Network. I think Gravity Falls is Disney, and
Hmm.
this was back in like 2012.
Hmm.
And I remember it's the stupidest thing now looking back on it, but I remember that the showrunner kept having issues getting stuff approved because he had like two background characters that had been like implied to be gay throughout like most of the show.
Hmm.
And they were really just like kind of throwaway joke characters. They're just background characters. They weren't important. Like it wasn't a big deal. But genuinely he like was fighting being canceled for a
Hmm.
while because of it, just because of the timeline that it came out.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Uh, and I just Ben was like, yeah, the pacing was weird. I was like, yeah, it's because of this. Like he didn't know if he was gonna get renewed or if this was gonna happen. And now, 13 years later, that sounds really stupid. But
But Disney's been like that. Like they've been really slow to.
mhm.
I feels like they still don't really put a lot of gay stuff in Disney, and it's
No.
kind of crazy because we're all like, "Come on, keep up!" Like what,
Hmm.
Because if you think about like, Steven Universe, I feel like that was happening around the same time on Cartoon Network, but they were
Yeah.
not not fighting to be canceled.
Yeah.
At least not. I don't think so.
I think they did have some issues, but obviously that show went on for like several seasons. Gravity
Yeah,
Falls got 2 seasons, and that was it.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I know it sounds so silly with things like, being gay and stuff like that not being a big deal, but like you just meet people that are still stuck in that, I don't know, that mindset of like there's something wrong, and I'm like, what? Like
Yeah.
What?
what is it? Like why does it matter? Like you there's all that stuff that's going on, but like just all the time I feel like you just still hear about people that are stuck in, in such crazy mindsets from centuries ago, and they're just like, I just don't get it.
Hmm.
Why does this matter? Like there's this MMA fighter who's crazy, right? So I don't know, people said maybe it's just because he got hit really hard. There was one time he got knocked out a couple years, actually I want to say last year or the year before that, but he got knocked out. It was cold, and he like twitched, and so everyone was like concerned because it was a really bad knockout.
Ooh.
And then after that he started talking. I think he might have talked about it a bit before, but it was like he was really harping on it afterwards. And he's a flat earther,
Mm.
really just dead set on it, right? And so most recently he said some shit about, oh, Hitler was probably a good guy, seems like someone you'd want to go out and fish with, and everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And so he continues on, and he's just like, yeah, those Jews, they'll go out there and make you gay. And I'm like, what
Oh my
the fuck is
god.
this guy talking about? But you'll just see, it's like he is a fucking human being that exists in 2025 and is saying this shit and is like legitimately like that he believes in it, and he has children, and it's like,
Ugh.
my god, the children,
Ch-
the children.
Well, it's like back to the boarding school stuff. It's like some people just aren't exposed to like anything but their bubble. It's like you
Yeah.
gotta you it's good for you to like take the bus sometimes. You need to just
yeah.
know what kind of people are out there and you need to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Well, and that just sounds like mental health. I feel like a lot of people just have like problems that and they don't know it's a problem, but like
Hmm.
they'll take it out on stuff like that, you know? Like one of the biggest things I feel like people do is like they don't like something triggers them and they'll like start just saying shit that's controversial. And it's like I don't even think they mean much of it. They just want to say like they just want to be controversial because they either like the attention or they feel like people, who are in that group will accept them no matter what because, they can say all
Yeah.
this horrendous shit and they still feel accepted. It's just all that like people need to go see doctors.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. There's also the flip side too, where like I was joking with Ben this morning. I was like, the day that I say kids these days or any bullshit like that, I was like, you can just take me out. Like, just put me down. I'm too far gone. Cause I made a joke this morning because this kid, like, he clearly had to have been like 20 years old, passed me on a road where you just like couldn't pass.
Hmm.
And I was like, what the fuck is he doing? But he was like really chill about it. Like he put his blinker on and then like just accelerated a tiny bit to get around me, put his blinker back on. Like he did it properly, but also very illegally. And so I was like, okay, whatever, like this fucking kid. And we just got into this whole conversation because his family, this like last week or so, it came up like twice where they were complaining because his little cousins, who were like 10 and 11 or maybe 12 at most,
Hmm.
were singing Pink Pony Club,
Hmm.
and his dad and his cousin were like, kids shouldn't be singing, like, they know that that song is about like stripping, like it's, how could they sing that? And it's like, do you know the shit that I was singing when I was 12 years old? I was fucking singing along to Lips of an Angel and Paralyzer and like all of this bullshit that I didn't understand.
No.
And like that's just normal. That's okay. We're exposed to shit when we don't get it. And then a couple years later we look back and go, "Oh man, I shouldn't have been singing that when I was 12 years old." But like it's fine.
Mhm.
Or like
Yeah.
I'm in
But
love
they were
with a stripper.
Mhm.
Loved that
exactly
song.
Yep.
any of Eminem's music, like
Mhm.
they were just like, "Oh, kids these days shouldn't be listening to this kind of music." It's like, fuck off. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Ugh. I hope I never get that old.
See, I feel like I'm already saying kids these days, but it's like in other contexts, I think. Yeah. Like me and Tina will gripe at kids who are like texting and driving and they're like horrible drivers. Like they're just like somebody
Yeah.
just stops in the middle of traffic and you're like, what are they doing? And you look and they're just doing this and you're like, fucking kids.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. That brain rot's universal, though. I feel like our parents nowadays are like, my dad's just as addicted to his phone as he thought I was gonna be when I was a kid. Like,
Yeah.
but to be
Yeah.
fair, he's a terrible driver, so I don't trust him behind the wheel of a car, even without a phone in his hand.
Yeah. No, that's true. It's like old people do it too. Or like everyone it's not like you have to be a kid to be staring at your phone. But I think
Yeah.
I'm more disappointed in the young people. I don't know why.
Yeah. They'll figure it out. They'll be fine.
It's true.
Young people.
Kids these days. We were
Kids these days.
one of the things we were trying to figure out is because the other thing that other conversation that he'd had with his family is they were complaining about like all the slang right now, and they're like, yeah, skibbity and riz, and they're like, what does this even mean? Like, and this is nonsense. Kids are just making shit up. And I was like, we like when we were kids, I was like, we were just reciting like Charlie the Unicorn bullshit like
It's true.
nonstop. That was just as stupid. Like,
Yeah.
Well, and I feel
uh,
like kids know it's nonsense, and that's why they love that shit. Like, they literally
yeah,
love it for the exact reason that they're outraged. It's like they
yeah,
love outraging older people because they feel like they have some
hmm
sort of like power, secret language. And
yeah.
it's also like so old now. I feel like nobody's probably even talking about Skibidi Toilet Riz anymore. Like you have to be an old person to be like still talking about it. So it's crazy that they're like, oh, kids, they're
Yeah.
talking about this. It's like I'm pretty sure they've moved on.
Yeah. The, these kids were, but to be fair, they live in like out in the country, so I think they're a
Oh,
couple weeks behind as well.
true, true.
Someone got hired recently at my job that was they're like 22, and they were like telling me things. They were just like, yeah, so like my parents get kind of annoying sometimes. I'm just like, yeah, man. And they're just like,
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
yeah, absolutely. I know what you're talking about. they're just like, they're just like, yes, hoping, I can get this apartment soon. Like then I could really be on my own. I'm like, yeah, yeah. And they're just like,
Aw.
yeah. So when like you have your own apartment, right? I'm like, yeah, man, I do. And they're just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like the conversation was just like I could tell I they're just getting started, and I'm just like,
Aw.
yeah. And they're talking about like bills and stuff that they expect, and I'm like, yeah, bills.
You're
Fuck,
like, totally, dude.
totally did. Pay those bills.
Aw, that used to be us though.
Yeah, man. I just feel so old. It's like they didn't ask me my age or anything like that, but they had to have known I'm much older than they are. But I was like, I don't know. I was just feeling it physically. I was like, oh god, my
Yeah.
body aches.
What a time. Yeah, I got my first apartment when I was working at that job. I think I started there when I was 21.
Mhm.
That's crazy. We're so old now.
White hairs. I don't know. I don't understand why white hairs are so much white. The rest of them, I don't know if it's like the what happens with the color and stuff. I
Mhm.
gotta figure out what to do. It's actually starting to like poke out a lot more, but I think it's like more just prominent because I have dark hair. But I'll
Yeah.
see it, and just like every time I see more, I just get so stressed out. And Tony's like, "It's fine. No one sees it. There's probably like two," and I'd be like, "There's five, Tony. There's five now." You're like, "This is not good. This is the end of the world."
Yeah, I actually have a lot. Actually, that my camera makes it look really bad right now, but I do have like a like strip of them right here.
No,
Hmm.
but that looks cool. That makes me think of like what's that X-Men who has the like the white strip? She has just like
Rogue.
the white rogue.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that always looked cool.
Yeah.
That's why I keep telling Tino. I was like, yours are gonna turn into a strip. Just wait, because he does have a bunch of random ones. But again, his hair's
Yeah.
dark. I think it just shows up more.
Hmm.
Yeah. Mine are all shorter than the rest of my hair, so like it shows up really badly if I pull it back into a tail because all my colored hair will go back, but then all of the white hairs just like stick out. It looks pretty bad.
Yeah, mine are just like the ones that I have are like wiry
Mhm.
compared to the rest of my other hair, and I don't know. It's like on top of it just being different from the rest of my hair, like you have to change the I don't know how it feels and stuff. Like it's like visible, like really very different. I don't know. That's whatever. It's part of aging. Whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll. The thing about aging is you'll always look back and be like, oh, I don't know how good I had it back then. Like
Yeah.
you'll have a full head of gray hair and be like, why was I upset about it at 20 something, 30? Yeah.
Kids these days don't know how
Kids
good they
these
have it.
days, God, they don't have any gray hair. lives are so easy.
Uh, all right. Well, I think that brings us to time. Anything else you guys want to go over before we wrap?
Nope.
I think I'm good.
All right. So we're gonna plan on watching Honora for
Yep.
next time.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Sounds good. All right. Until next time. Bye bye.